Marcus Chen hadn't expected to find anything alive in the wreckage. The escape pod had carved a burning trench through his backyard cornfield, scattering stalks and soil across 3 acres of what used to be profitable farmland. Now it was just another mess he'd have to clean up. Another problem added to the infinite list that came with being a single father on a dying colony world. He approached cautiously, plasma rifle held low, but ready. 10 years ago, he would have called for backup. 10 years ago, he'd been a decorated Marine with a future. Now he was just a farmer with a daughter to feed and bills he couldn't pay. The pod's hatch hung open, smoke still curling from melted hinges. Inside, crumpled against the far wall, was something that looked like a fever dream crossbred with Earth's evolutionary history. He assumed she based on the delicate bone structure, had russet fur covering most of her body, a long bushy tail, and enormous dark eyes that flickered with fading consciousness. Her uniform bore insignia he didn't recognize, but the quality of the fabric screamed wealth and power. "Dad?" Emma's voice carried across the field. His 8-year-old daughter stood at the fence line, her nightgown fluttering in the pre-dawn breeze. "Stay there, sweetheart," Marcus called back, already moving toward the injured alien. Whatever else he'd become, whatever the war had taken from him, he was still human, and humans didn't leave people to die. The alien woman weighed almost nothing. He carried her inside, laying her on the medical scanner he'd salvaged from his military days. The device hummed to life, projecting a holographic display of her biology. Fractures, internal bleeding, radiation exposure. She needed a hospital, not a farmer's first aid kit. But the nearest hospital was 200 miles away, and his truck had been repossessed last month. Marcus worked through the night. He'd been a field medic before the war, before the Treaty of Proxima, before everything fell apart. His hands remembered what his mind tried to forget: the careful extraction of bone fragments, the delicate sealing of torn vessels, the precise calibration of the med bay's regeneration field. Emma brought him coffee at sunrise. "Is she going to be okay?" "I think so." Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. "Go get ready for school. I'll walk you to the transport. We could keep her," Emma said hopefully. "Like a pet." "She's not a pet, Em, she's a person." The alien woman's eyes opened 3 days later. Marcus was cleaning his rifle at the kitchen table when he heard movement from the spare bedroom. He found her sitting up, tail wrapped protectively around her torso, those enormous eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "Where am I?" Her voice was melodic, carrying harmonics that human vocal cords couldn't produce. The translator implant in his ear rendered it into flat English. "My farm. Proxima Centauri B, human colony designation New Kansas. You crashed." Recognition flickered across her face. "Proxima. Of course." Something bitter entered her tone. "The conquered world." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "We prefer annexed makes it sound less like we were completely screwed over." She stood, wobbling slightly. Even weakened, she moved with aristocratic grace. "I need to contact my fleet." "Your fleet?" Marcus laughed without humor. "Lady, the nearest comm station is in the city and I can't afford the fuel to get there. You're stuck here until you heal enough to walk it yourself." Over the next 2 weeks, an uneasy routine developed. The alien, she said her name was Silvara, helped around the farm as her strength returned. She was surprisingly capable despite her delicate appearance, and Emma adored her. Marcus tried not to think about what would happen when she left. He tried not to think about a lot of things, like how the farm was failing, like how the Treaty of Proxima had cost him everything: his military career, his wife, who'd left when the money ran out, his dignity. The Vaxian Empire had demanded massive reparations after humanity's failed expansion into their territory. Earth had paid with the labor and resources of its colonies. People like Marcus, who'd fought in that stupid, pointless war, had been cast aside. "You were military," Silvara said one evening. They sat on the porch watching Emma chase fireflies in the yard. "I can tell by the way you move. I was a lot of things. The war." "Yeah, the war." Marcus took a long drink from his beer. "Lost a lot of good people fighting an enemy we never understood. Then lost everything else in the peace." Silvara was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry. Not your fault, isn't it?" Something in her tone made him turn. She was staring at her hands, claws extended and retracted in a nervous gesture he'd come to recognize. "I need to tell you something," she said quietly. "My full name is Silvara Tanis Quintara. She paused. I was the Empress of the Vaxian Dominion. Marcus felt the world tilt. The beer bottle slipped from his hand, shattering on the porch. You're lying. I wish I were. Her tail drooped. I was deposed 6 months ago. My cousin, took the throne. That's why I was fleeing when my ship was attacked. Marcus stood, chair scraping violently across wood. You! His voice shook with rage. You're the one who demanded the reparations. You're the reason this colony is dying. You're the reason I lost everything. Emma stopped chasing fireflies. You're the reason my daughter goes to bed hungry. Marcus was shouting now. The reason her mother left. The reason good soldiers came home to nothing. Silvara stood facing him with dignity despite her obvious fear. Yes, I did those things. I believed humanity was expansionist, dangerous. I believed crushing your colonies would prevent future wars. I was wrong. Wrong? Wrong? Marcus laughed bitterly. Wrong doesn't bring back the lives ruined. Wrong doesn't feed my daughter. I know. Tears tracked through the fur on her face. I know, and I cannot fix it. I have no power anymore. I am nothing. But for what it's worth, her voice broke. I am sorry truly, and I am grateful. You saved me even though you had no reason to. Even though I'm your enemy. That's more mercy than I ever showed humanity. Marcus stood there, fists clenched, a decade of rage and pain and loss churning inside him. It would be so easy. So easy to turn her in. To claim whatever bounty might be on her head. So easy to hurt her the way she'd hurt him. Emma's small hand slipped into his. She helped fix the fence, his daughter said quietly. And she tells good stories. And she's nice. Marcus looked down at his daughter, the only good thing left in his life, then back at the fallen Empress trembling on his porch. Humans, he remembered, had reached the stars not because they were the strongest or smartest. They'd survived because they'd learned one critical skill, knowing when to let go of hate. You're still weak, he said finally, voice rough. You'll stay until you're healed. Then you leave. And you never tell anyone you were here. Deal? Silvara nodded, sagging with relief. Marcus picked up the broken glass, each piece sharp enough to cut. Some wounds, he knew, never fully healed. But humans were experts at surviving anyway. That was their real superpower.